This is the Build Zone Podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Listeners of the podcast, we are in for a treat this week as we have relatively new dad and friend of the podcast, Mr. JR Butler from the Shift Group. He is the CEO and founder of the Shift Group. And I found him on LinkedIn. He's a sports guy, sports background, connected with business. This is fantastic. JR, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here, Mike. Thanks for having me, brother.
I appreciate you coming on. I know we've had you on for a couple of weeks here, but for those that don't know who you are in the world, and especially in Massachusetts, what is the Shift Group? What do you do? And I know you guys doing some amazing work for the veterans. I know that. But
Yeah.
What exactly you guys do in the Shift Group?
Yeah, so Shift Group started about 3 years ago, and I built the company for two versions of myself. The first version being the 23, 24-year-old hockey player who, went from knowing exactly who I was, what my priorities were, what my goals were, and, what the playbook was for success in uniform, to like literally overnight losing all of that, right? Which is an experience that I know every athlete at a high level goes through, but also, as you mentioned, every veteran goes through, because I had a lot of buddies that were my age that, were getting out at the same time, getting out of the service the same time I was getting out of hockey. So we kind of had, misery loves company. So we built the company really like from a mission perspective, focused on giving those folks a place where they can kind of rediscover themselves, learn how to tell their story in a very impactful way to the job market, and then present themselves in a way that shows that they're excellent as they are, because they are excellent. And then additionally, when I did finally figure it out, which it took me a long time and a lot of pain and suffering, but I did end up having like a pretty decent corporate career and became a C-level executive in my mid-30s. Hiring is the hardest thing that every single company does, and it is the most important thing that every single company does. And I have this kind of deep belief that a resume is not a great way to evaluate talent, and I wanted to build something that was much better and much different than the way that companies do. So we built this kind of two-sided platform, curriculum on one, recruiting on the other, and companies that work with us, over 500 across the United States and North America, love the way that we present candidates. It's video-based. I mean, it's 2025. I don't think it makes much sense to judge somebody on a Microsoft Word document anymore. So that's kind of the context of the business and why we started and kind of what we do at a very high level.
It's wild, right? So those people that might be listening and don't know, I can speak from experience. When I left the Marine Corps in 2003, there was no like preparing you for leaving the military and going out in the real world, right? So, what you did in the Marine Corps, whether it be an administrative role or maybe an infantry unit or whatever you're in, if you're an enlisted person, it's kind of hard to put that on a resume and get somebody outside world to understand what you were doing, right? I was very lucky. I spent the last few months of my enlistment in the training department. So the training definitely carried over into the real world. So organization, preparedness, discipline, all that type of stuff, right? What are some of the things that the Shift Group does to help, some of those transitioning veterans?
Yeah, so like my bet, Mike, is like, when you're in the Marine Corps, less than 1% of the I'll just use veterans as an example. Less than 1% of the general population has like the discipline, makes the sacrifices, does what it takes to wear the uniform, right? And there are standards and expectations that come with being a Marine or being in the Navy or being in the Army or whatever it is.
Yep.
And it's kind of the experience is built in to the process itself, right? The reason why veterans are elite or athletes are elite is because when you put on that uniform, it comes with like clear values.
Yep.
It comes with clear priorities, and it comes with clear goals. And like it isn't easy, but the playbook is simple. Like what you need to do,
Yeah.
and of course it's not easy, but it's you don't need a PhD to figure it out, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's what we give back to the athlete and the veteran. It's exercises, essentially. It's online, it's self-paced. They get My whole team surrounds them. We do multiple group calls a day to help them work through the process. But we start with like that self-discovery of like really looking in the mirror and thinking about what are your personal values? Like, and what did your time in uniform, how did it shape those things? And then taking a step back and being like, all right, you're entering the real world, right? Like,
Yep.
like you're gonna have to go earn a paycheck and earn a living. And you need to think about like what are your priorities gonna be? Is it gonna be where you live? Is it gonna be how much money you make? Is it gonna be like working in an industry that like you have personal alignment to, right? The best example I can think of where younger people get wrapped around the axle is they all like they've been told their whole life to follow their passion, right? So you got these like college football is the best example. These kids come out and they're like, I want to coach. And it's like, okay, you want to coach. Well, your top priority when you did our exercise was salary and compensation and flexibility. Guess what? Two things you're not never going to get in coaching. You'll get salary and compensation in like 20 years when you get,
Yep.
but
Yep.
like flexibility ain't happening, brother.
Nope.
You're working 80 hours a week, like getting paid dog shit for
That's right.
that 15 years. So like, I don't think as a society, and that could be the military transition or the athletic kind of college professional transition, nobody has that like hard conversation with young people to say, hey, like, dude, you don't get everything. Like there's
Right.
trade-offs you have to make. So we do a lot of work around that. Once they do that work, then we expose them to the different functional areas of the corporate world that could be in construction, healthcare, tech. It doesn't actually really matter. Like I that's like less important at that first stage. First, you got to think like, where do you fit in to a corporate setting? Is it sales? Is it marketing? Is it like product creation, people and culture, strategy and operations, finance and analytics? So like
Yep.
we expose those different functional areas to them. Then we do some upskilling in those functional areas. Once they do the work, then we expose to them like, all right, here's what strategy and operations looks like in the construction industry. Here's
Yep.
what it looks like in healthcare. Here's what it looks like in tech. So, again, dude, I wish I had this when I was 24 years old. Like I got very lucky and I think luck is not a strategy. So we're trying to like give these folks a little bit more structure to how they go about making these like really impactful hard choices that they have to make.
And I never put together the whole veteran and the athlete thing because now that when you brought it up, I thought about that and said, this athletes, tons of discipline, lots of hard work, lots of, like I said, they know what it takes to be successful, right? And they got to work really hard. And I never put that together with the veteran thing because, as an enlisted guy in the Marine Corps after 4 years, what do you know really coming out of there, right? I was very lucky. I was much older and I still had a connection back here at home. But for some guys that come out of any branch of the military, if you're an infantry guy, what skills do you have, right? You're shooting machine guns and kicking down doors. So like, where does that fit blue collar wise? I mean, that's something that's great that you guys actually figured out, dude. So
Yeah, and
tell us a little, yeah, tell us a little about the go
just
ahead.
to, I just want to pull on that string a little bit, Mike, because I actually have been thinking about this a lot because I get the question a lot, like, what is the core similarity between an athlete and a veteran? And honestly, dude, this sounds super simple, but I actually think it is probably, especially in 2025, the most important skill you can bring to the labor force, which is the willingness to do shit you don't want to do because of the goals that you have, right? Like, full stop, dude. I did not want to shoot 500 pucks a day. I did not want to wake up at 5 and go to the rink. You did not want to go to boot camp. You
Yep.
did not want to do what you had to do,
Yep.
but you did it, right? And that is a muscle the same as a bicep, dude.
Yep.
And there is a whole generation of people that aren't without this background that are entering the labor force that haven't really had to do shit they don't want to do. Nobody's like made them, right? So
Right.
like I think this skill set that you develop in the military, and people call that a soft skill. You can call it a soft skill if you want, but like I think it's such a differentiator in 2025 that more leaders are understanding it because they're having bad experiences with younger people. So sorry to go on a tangent there, but I just want to
That,
call that out. Like at the
that's
core,
great.
that's what it is.
Yeah. And it's funny because, some people get the veteran thing, right? Where the discipline and the regimented stuff and, it's hard for, and it's funny because I'll even here in this setting here, I've only been 4 years, right? So it wasn't like I was in for 20 years. Some will say this is the military. All right, well, I was only in 4 years, but there's things like rank structure and chain of command and like the discipline piece and the got to get it done. And like they said, doing something you may not want to do, right? Whether it be empty trash barrels or it be hanging a sign or whether it be whatever, but some veterans really get it. So tell me about the website. Now you got some new exciting stuff coming up about the website. What do you got coming up for what that's new and it's exciting?
Yeah, I mean, we've really like kind of bootstrapped the business to where we are today. We took a little bit of like outside friends and family funding, but for the most part, it's been very much like, hard hat and lunch pail to build the company. And when I started the company, we were very much focused on a career path in sales, really business development, revenue generation and mainly because that was my background. What we did over the last like 3 to 6 months is we added these other functional areas, right? So like people can go be, someone could finish our training and go be like a project manager or a field engineer or a project engineer or a site foreman or all these other different functional areas that aren't sales centric. So that change was a big one. We made ourselves more relevant to the 5 to 1,000 athletes and veterans that sign up to do our training every month because we were losing a lot of folks that didn't want to do sales, which is like makes total sense. Only 13% of jobs in the labor market are sales jobs, which is actually higher than I thought, but still pretty low. The big change we're making in the fall is our platform because of the nature of how we built the business, like we haven't invested a lot in the technology. But that changed over the last couple months, and we're doing like a huge relaunch, building the platform from scratch. And guys like me and you, Mike, we don't really care about that. Like we grew up on AOL and like, like Windows 95. Like I don't, it doesn't bother me to have a bad technical experience, but with what I've come to appreciate, and that's really important, is somebody who is 23 years old right now. They were 5 years old when the iPhone came out.
Yep.
They have experienced things like Uber and Amazon and Netflix and
Yep.
Instagram and all these like digital experiences that are like it's just like they're phenomenal, right? Like they're actually scientifically designed to make you want to use them and stay in them and get these like dopamine hits as you go through. And they're very intuitive. Like you just know. And I can look in the mirror as a CEO and admit like that is not what our platform is like today, right? That's really hard when you have 500 Gen Zers sign up every single month.
Right.
So we're making a massive investment in the platform so that their experience, and we're not going to expect them to do less work. They're not going to be less prepared. They're not going to have less content that we can show to hiring partners. But the way they go about building it and like experiencing the training is going to be much more aligned with how they use technology today. And I think it's going to be a game changer for us and for our constituents, these folks that are getting out of uniform now.
Do you have any like I'm sure you do like a particular success story that you could talk about where someone was looking for, I don't know, reached out to you to hire someone in your company, was a veteran or an athlete. Any success stories?
Yeah, I mean, so many.
Yeah.
I would say here's like the best anecdotes for what we do, Mike. Like we've only been around for 3 years, which isn't that long when you think of like the length of a career. Um, we have about in 3 years, we have close to 2 dozen graduates of our program, athletes and veterans, that are now in a position where they're like the final interview for new, like they're the hiring manager
Wow,
for the companies that we place them at. Like that's
that's
pretty
great.
freaking unique,
Yeah,
dude.
that's great.
You
That's
know?
great. And veterans like to work with veterans, and like they connect that way, right? Whether they be, it doesn't really matter what branch. It could be,
Totally, totally.
we know the Marine Corps is the best branch. But
Hoorah.
that's just me. That's just me. Maybe I'm biased, but there. I guess there are other branches. I'm not sure, but I think there are other branches. I guess so. I wasn't sure. I mean, I only know about one branch. You know, what about as far as if someone wanted to reach out to you and get started in your program, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I would say they can email me directly, jr@shiftgroup.io, and I'll get them dialed in. But really easy to go to our website, www.shiftgroup.io. Go to the build your career page and then just sign up there if you're a company and you want to hire these types of folks, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners are in the position where they're building teams.
Mhm.
Same thing, except build your team, and then just fill out the form, and someone from my team will reach out and get you spun up quick.
That's pretty amazing. What about some advice for someone? It's someone out there looking for it, whether it be most of the veterans in the company, are they like retired military, like 20 years, or is it someone 4, 6 years? Is it a lot of enlisted? Is it a lot of officers? What's the usual?
Yeah, I would say like our average veteran that signs up is typically like an E5 dude,
All
right?
right.
Like, we get the 22 year like E9 sergeant majors every
Yeah.
now and then. But timing wise, we've had a lot of success with folks that are like towards the end, like they know they're 3 to 6 months out from leaving active duty. Just because the training isn't easy, so it gives them a little bit more time to do it, right? They can, instead of trying to crank it out in a week, they can bang out like an hour a week and be
Yep.
done by the time that they're ready to start interviewing. And we get the JMOs and the O6s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would say like you asked me my advice. My advice would be to be proud and be able to communicate the value of your military service, but also be humble in your search and in your acceptance of a new role. Meaning, the best analogy I have is like this idea of like mountaintop hopping, right? What we get a lot, especially for the vets that were in there for a while, maybe they were officers, maybe they, whatever it was, the special operations guys who are like, well, I was a Navy SEAL, like should be a vice president. And it's like,
Right.
the best
Yeah.
analogy I always tell them is like, listen, dude, like you don't get to jump from one mountaintop to the other. The
Yep.
reality is though, you're gonna start maybe in the middle, maybe towards the bottom, like everyone else, like the college kid who, did keg stands and studied in the library for 4 years.
Yep.
But you're going to have the tools to get up to the top of the mountain way faster than them. And you have to accept that you might need to start, like, you might need to take a step back to take a giant leap forward, right? It's like if you're a 50-year-old PhD and you have a role where you need to learn French, you need to be able to speak French to someone. A 10-year-old from France is still going to be better at speaking French than you, despite
Right.
your age, despite your maturity, despite the experiences you've had. And the reality is the business world is another language from anything else. So you got to appreciate that there's some expectation that you're going to learn the language before you jump into that role. Does that
It
resonate with you?
that's perfect. I think that's a great analogy. You can't, like you said, mountaintop to mountaintop, right? You can't be in charge of 2,000 people,
Yeah.
as an officer in the military, and then try to get out and be vice president of some company. That's,
Yeah.
we have a gentleman that works for one of our member companies. He was a 20+ year Army colonel. He was flying Black Hawk helicopters and saving people's lives. Right. He came back here and just applied to be like for the construction company, and they hired him. And he's in charge of all the training. He's in charge of veteran stuff for the company. So I think he wanted to come in low, same thing, and he proved himself. And now he's like the guy, the training person. He's a chairman of my veterans committee. Super smart guy. All right. Now comes my favorite part of the podcast, gonna be the lightning round. We're gonna ask JR 10 rapid fire questions. Hopefully he doesn't pass or skip because he knows what happened. We talked about him. All right, let's see here. JR, who is your childhood actor or actress crush?
Childhood would be Jessica Rabbit. That was
Oh man. All right. All right. That's a good one. No one's missing that one.
cartoon.
That's a good one. If you were a wrestler, what would your entrance theme song be?
Shipping up to Boston.
Um, what did you name your very first car?
Oh, dude, it was Seamus O'Buick.
Did you
That's
pile
all.
everybody to the Seamus O'Buick with your hockey gear and go play hockey?
Trust me, when my friends hear that, they're gonna lose it. It really did have its own personality, that
I love
that
it.
that that vehicle.
It's funny how people name, yeah, everyone's going to find names for the car. What was your least favorite food as a child? Do you still hate it or love it now?
Brussels sprouts, and I love them now.
Yeah, right. Nah, no one liked them as a kid. They're delicious now. Let's see. If a movie was made of your life, what genre would it be and who would play you?
It would probably be a drama,
All right.
unfortunately, and I think Christian Bale would play me.
I think so. You know, Christian Bale. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Nobody cares. Work harder.
Oh, that's a good one. If you could be a member of any fictional family, fictional being make believe, what family would you be a member of?
The first thing that popped in my head was The Sopranos, man.
Oh,
Sign me up.
a lot of people say Sopranos, yeah, right. Uh, what's your favorite tradition or holiday?
I love Thanksgiving and just in general, the food, the football, all that, all of
Yeah,
it.
I'm with you. You a coffee or tea drinker?
Coffee.
Weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Um, I've had like different animal testicles,
Oh boy, different. Wait a minute. We get different animals. What other different animals have you testicles have you tried?
like cows. I don't even know.
Oh
My
man.
my wife has really gotten me out of my comfort zone when it comes to food.
Oh Jesus, man. And then we always like to ask if the zombie apocalypse is coming, who are three people you'd want to fight on your team? Three people.
Probably my dad. Just because like dads have the dad strength. My dad has
Yep.
dad strength.
Yep.
And then I'd probably take Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
Love it. Oh man, jeez. Okay, that's a great one. And this is the new one I like to ask is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
All right, that's it. I agree with you. All right, that's our friend, Mr. JR Butler from the Shift Group. We'll make sure to put all the contact information in the description of the podcast. We appreciate you coming on. If anybody has any questions, reach directly out to him. But if you're a company that's looking to hire and you can't find the right people, reach out to JR and the folks at Shift Group. And remember, a lot of veterans coming back. You know, a lot of athletes that can all go play the sport they love and want to get into something else. Be sure to reach out to JR. He can help you out. JR, thanks for everything. Appreciate you.
Love it. Thank you for having me, Mike.